at least a winless run now. They were able to win this one to break that particular winless game they played. They played 7 matches without winning, and the 8th one, they were able to defeat Costa Rica by a lone goal scored by Esther Okoronkwo in the 45th minute. Good one for Super Falcons. At least they will use this to fine-tune themselves ahead of the Turkey Cup that will also be coming up before the World Cup. Hopefully, they will do well there. Talking about the Super Falcons right now, a lot of Nigerians begin to call for the head of the coach Randy Wardrum, for the fact that they want Super Falcons to do well at the World Cup. Well, from the way it is, we just hope the best team will be assembled for that particular Mundial that has to do with Nigerian women, where it will be happening live in Australia and also New Zealand. Still talking about some stories, let's talk about the Under-20 AFCON. Nigeria team, the Flying Eagles, will be taking on Egypt today. Under-20 AFCON, Flying Eagles takes on host Egypt. That will be coming by 6 p.m. tonight, and hopefully they'll be able to do well. The boys, they lost their first game against Senegalese young lions there, and this particular one, they need to win for them to continue to be among the best when it comes to this competition. So far, they really need to do well. According to their coach, Ladan Boso, they've identified where the problem is, and now they want to make sure they work on it. And they are ready to make sure the team perform excellently well against Egypt. Egypt are the host, but it is very possible that Nigeria can do well against Egypt, the host there. Quickly, we look at El Kanemi versus Kwara United will be coming up today. That will be by 4 p.m. El Kanemi versus Kwara United in Group A, match day 9 fixture. That's the only match left in that particular group, and to let you know that both teams will be fighting for honor, as both of them are down the bottom of the table in that Group A. So El Kanemi versus Kwara United will be a match to watch, a big one if you ask me, a cracker there between the two teams who are right now following suit against Nasarawa United, who were able to win their game against Remo Stars. Now El Kanemi trying to see if they can get a win, while Kwara United will also be trying to see if they can also get a win. Well, the biggest one that happened yesterday was the Champions League, where Victor Osimhen was able to do, and also Real Madrid. Well, let's look at the first story. Champions League, Osimhen scores as Napoli beats Eintracht Frankfurt 2-0. Good one for Victor Osimhen, who was among the scorers there, alongside Di Lorenzo, who also made it 2. Well, for the fact that the Nigerians been in superlative form so far this season for the team that play over there, the city of Naples, Napoli has been on fire. And we have to appreciate the fact that alongside Varashkelia and the entire squad, even their coach Spalletti have been in good, fine performance or form right now. So for Osimhen, he did well by getting that particular goal, making it 20th goal of the season for him. And the Nigerian who stopped scoring, he really did well in that particular game. And for Napoli, they did well in the first leg now, beating that's Eintracht Frankfurt 2-0, waiting for the second leg that will be coming up in Italy. And who says they can't win this? We wait to see. The biggest one that has to do with Real Madrid. Ruthless Real Madrid has classed Liverpool to win at Anfield there, 5-2. They were actually trailing Liverpool by 2 goals after Mohamed Salah and also Nunes scored earlier. But Real Madrid, who knows the business of playing the Champions League, they were able to do well. They defeated Liverpool at the Anfield 5-2. Courtesy of Karim Benzema's brace. And you look at Vinicius Junior, fantastic goal that he scored there, making him to get the MVP of that particular encounter. Vinicius Junior was really in form. And now you look at another player that did well for Real Madrid was Militao, who had the 4th goal there. For the 4 goals that actually came, they really did well by making sure they cancelled the 2 goals out to make it 5-2. Good one for Real Madrid, who right now are the king when it comes to Champions League, and you can't take them down even when you are leading. Liverpool underrated them after they were leading 2-0, and Real Madrid came from behind and finish the game. Good one for Real Madrid right now, sending a signal that by the time they come to the Santiago Bernabeu for the second leg, the business really has been done. Good one for Real Madrid there, and also not forget the Osimhen, just giving you update concerning all the matches that took place yesterday. And good one for Super Falcons for the fact that they were able to turn things around against Costa Rica. Let's go on a short break. By the time we return, we unveil the guests in the studio.
have the double head.
A good one out there showing you Nigeria Tells, the team that really made it of Nigerians so hard when it comes to football in the FCT, the Federal Capital Territory. That's the only team that plays in the senior category of football in Nigerian Women Football League, NWFL. Nigeria Tells has been a team that a lot of women football lovers really follow because of the fact that in the whole Abuja, that's the only team that represents the FCT there. Even for the men, we only have one, and that's Nigeria Tells. And we have in the studio the president of Nigeria Tells will be talking to us concerning that team, and also we talk about women football in the person of Barrister Paul Edeh. Good to have you.
Well, thank you for having me. I know you've been doing a lot following Nigeria Tells for a very long time, and thank you for that. Okay, good morning. Let's look at your team, Nigeria Tells. First of all, the name Nigeria Tells. A lot of people are like, Nigeria Tells, where did it come from? Well, a lot of people don't know that rattle is an animal. You know, we live in a climate where we depict, we use animals as symbols of our teams, like the Super Falcons, the Super Eagles, Golden Eaglets and all that. So I was actually looking for an animal that could resonate with strength, speed, with vigor, with fearlessness. And in my research, I stumbled on this animal called honey badger. It's also the same name, meaning with rattles. So I decided, let us pick this animal that is recognized by the Guinness Book of Records as the most fearless and fearsome animal that could fight pythons, snake, lions and all that. So that's where we got rattles from. And of course, Nigeria wanted a team that is based in Nigeria, that is going to be well known for its strides in the women's football. Okay, that's how you actually got the name Nigeria Tells, yes. Because I know you have the logo there that has to do with your club. But now, Nigeria Tells, for a while, how long has it been in existence? Well, Nigeria Tells was incorporated in 2019. We started as an amateur team because the idea for me was not to build a team from top to bottom, but rather to build a team from bottom to top. So in line with that, I decided to put together these young women from Benue State, Makurdi, who were doing so well playing at the grassroots. I picked them, brought them together, and we began to play. And of course, a lot of times we tend to be happy and excited with success stories without knowing the background. Once upon a time, Nigeria Tells played with the Flamingos in 2020, and we lost 5-0. We played with Falconets. We lost 7-0. In fact, we kept losing all the matches. We went to Edeh to play the playoff in 2020, and we came 7-7. So that should tell you that it was not a team that was that we built from top to bottom, but we began gradually. And it will interest you to note that the same girls we've been using since 2019 are the same girls winning even those that have been in women's football premiership long before we arrived the stage. So I think that if we devote more attention to grassroots football, we'll be able to give young girls opportunity to be able to represent us even nationally. Because you would also agree with me that in the Flamingos, the girls that came third with bronze medal, we have about 5 players there from Nigeria Tells. That's because we began to build them from secondary school. In fact, we have more secondary school students than any other team across Nigeria in the Premiership today. And that's because we have ensured that all our players had scholarship to school, even to university level. Okay, now, when you're talking about your team, Nigeria Tells, according to what you said, the same players who actually been with the team since 2019 are still there now, and most of them are going to school. That means you actually get them at a very young age, and that has been working for Nigeria Tells. Let's talk about the league, the NWFL, your team in the league. So far, you spent how many years in the league? We spent 2013, 19 till date. Okay, of course, this is our second season in the Premiership. We played in the Championship playoff where we qualified for the NWFL Premiership. So if you're looking at it from the Premiership point of view, we've been in, this is our second season. In the Championship, we played just one season. Then, of course, in the amateur, we also played one season. So in all, we've been on ground for, this year will make it the 4th year, but the 2nd year in the Premiership.
And so far in the Premiership, you've spent 2 years in the Championship and now 2 years in the senior category, that's NWFL. What can you say has been the difference between the two?
Well, the difference for me is that in the Premiership is a different ball game entirely. Different ball game in the sense that you have people who have had experience. We have players that play for even the national team. We have players that play for Super Falcons and a host of others. So in view of that, we tend to think that we're doing very well in the Premiership, even though it's a fierce environment.
Well, we've been talking with the president of Nigeria Tels, and right now we just have to look at that particular team from the FCT. They represent the federal capital, and really they are doing well when it comes to women football in Nigeria. The team has been assistants. Now they've spent 4 years, 2 in Championship and 2 years in the NWFL. So far, your team, like you said, 5 of them made the cut to the national team. That shows how good the team has been. Let me say, the coach of your team is also the coach of the under-17. That's the Flamingos.
Yes.
That's Olowokere
Yes.
Bankole. That was the secret.
Well, for me, you know, when we played the Flamingos in 2020 and they were able to beat us 5-0, I said to myself that for a coach that can gather these young girls together to play for Nigeria and able to beat our team 5-0, I want that coach to come and coach the team. And we began negotiation, and the terms were favorable to the coach, and he left his former team and joined us. And one thing that he did mention to me is the fact that, look, we may not be able to have the kind of success story that we would desire to have in the first 2 years, that I should give him about 3 years that he's going to groom these girls to international standard, playing international football. And I gave him that opportunity. And the other thing he also sought from me is he will be able to identify girls as he goes around. He will identify young girls who are in secondary school, and that if I can give him the leverage to bring them on board so that he can also prepare a few players for his national team. And I gave him 100% cooperation. And that is why you see that most of the girls that went to the national team camp, they did extremely well because he started grooming them from 2020. And I think to a large extent, that also accounted for the success story we had in India during the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup.
Okay, now let's talk about the NWFL. Nigeria Tels so far this season, one of your players has been among the top scorers. The name is a bit, can you tell us?
Well, Agama. You're talking about Agama. Form. Yes. Agama is the name. Like you said, Zipre, she's from Bayelsa
State. And
she's doing extremely well. And that is one thing that I can pride Nigeria Tels with. When she came initially, she was a striker. But we saw that she was not doing so well. So we brought her to defense, then to the midfield. So a combination of her skills as starting off as a striker, a defender, and now a midfielder gave her that impetus to be able to score the kind of wonderful goals we've seen her score thus far. And I think that these young girls are a team to beat. Mind you, when our first entrance to the league, we qualified for the Ultimate Super 6. And as at date, we are third in the Group A table. And we're hoping that when we do well with the remaining matches that we have, we should be able to qualify for the Super 6 again. I'm sure that we will do far better. And mind you, during the last Super 6, we had all our key players playing for during the World Cup, so they couldn't participate in the Super Six. So now that the team is back and we are fully on ground, we are very sure that these young girls will be able to exhibit their very best as we climb the ladder of the league.
Okay, we focus more on the Nigeria as a team, and really, they've really brought a lot of joy to FCT residents for the fact that that's the only team you can talk about that is playing top league, both for men and women. No other team in Abuja, except in the NNL. Now, for Nigeria, kudos to them. We just hope that they'll be able to get the Super Six that they are fighting for in their group. And now, when it comes to NWFL, what can you say about that league now?
Well, for now, I think that we are no longer where we used to be, but there is a lot to still be accomplished or achieved as we go on. For instance, we are embarking on this league season without the board being in place, and the reason is simple. The new NFF board just came into existence 1st October 2022, and we are still hoping and waiting for that election into that board to be held. Of course, there have been some level of controversy as to whether NFF will appoint or there will be election, and I've always insisted that the NFF statute provides that election should be held. Article 13 provides that the decision-making bodies of the NFF are to be elected, and it doesn't give the impetus or right to the executive committee to appoint unilaterally for the various leagues, both the MPFL, NNL, NLO, and NWFL. And not having the board in place has also not given us the right standing in terms of seeking for sponsorship for the league and all that. We're hoping that in the coming days, perhaps after the general elections, we'll be able to hold our elections so that we'll have a better sense of direction. But thus far, the secretariat, ably led by Modupe Shabi, has done extremely well to ensure that the league is started at the right time. And of course, officiating, we're still having a bit of teething challenges. But with the stance of the NFF, we're doing extremely well now, particularly with the sanctions that was meted on recalcitrant referees very recently. It has also been able to give rise to home teams going away to go and win their leagues, because the officiating is far better than when we kickstarted. But on the whole, I will rate the NWFL Secretariat very extremely high. We're doing far better than we have been doing in the past. Okay,
I want to make it 2-in-1 now. When it comes to NWFL, we know that a lot of people don't see most of these matches. I'm sure you and other club owners, what are you guys doing to see how you can make NWFL to at least let Nigerians know, okay, this thing is there, this league is ongoing, we want to see it on either on TV or internet or thereabout?
I think that the constraints that the NWFL has currently are twofold. First, the interest in women's football have not been built to capacity yet. For instance, even the NFF has a lot to do, as it has to do with putting the women's league on center stage. One of the arguments I've always put forward is that we treat the women's game as though it is second fiddle to the men's game. For instance, in the statute, it provides for the NPFL, NNL, NLO, where, of course, the three categories have voting rights in the NFF Congress. But when you come to the Women's League, we also have the Premier League, we have the Championship, which is the second division, we have the Nationwide, which is the third division, just like the male category. However, it is only NWFL, one that is provided for. So for me, I think it should be, NFF should begin by winning its environment and give the women's game its rightful place. We should have these three categories also listed in the NFF statute with equal rights and opportunities like the men's game. Then secondly, there's need for us to quickly put in place a proactive board to be led by someone that is elected and someone that can push for sponsorship. Because, yeah, the last board did well in terms of getting sponsorship and all that, but I think it can be better if we have a dynamic, proactive board that will be able to pursue sponsorship. And thirdly, we should also see the Ministry of Youth and Sports supporting the women's game by insisting or giving certain level of incentive to organizations or companies that come all out to sponsor the women's league. That way, I think that the women's league in Nigeria, which is even doing far better than most leagues across Africa and some part of the world, will get to center stage and be watched internationally and globally.
Good one there. We've been talking with Barrister Paul Edeh, the president of Nigeria Tels, the team that plays in Abuja, and also in the NWFL for the senior girls, as I call them. But really, it has been a fantastic one, as he has been talking to us concerning activities of the women football in Nigeria. Now, what does a barrister have to do with football? Explain that.
I'm sure in 360 Sports, you have those who read medicine, pharmacy, also working as journalists. For me, it is my own little way of giving back to the girl child. You know, for every engagement you have, there is need for you to have a platform on which to express those desires of yours. And for me to be able to speak concerning the right of the girl child, I chose sports as a platform because sports happens to be a unifying factor. And of course, in sports, I chose football because it is one of the roads that is less traveled. So I've been able to do a lot for the girl child. For instance, like I said from the beginning of the show, that all our players are on free scholarship up to university level. We pay their WAEC fee, we pay school fees for those in the university. In fact, we've had some who have also graduated based on our scholarship. And what I've been able to do is to also do what most teams do internationally. You have the football club as a limited liability company, then you have a foundation. So the foundation is the arm that we use to cater for the welfare of each of our players. And I can assure you that with what the foundation has been able to achieve, you can't but reckon with Nigeria Tels. Is it the preseason tournament we organized? For the past 4 editions, we have had the Shiro's Cup, which was initially known as the Nigeria Tels preseason tournament. We changed it for 2 consecutive seasons to Flying Officers Cup. And of course, just last year, October, we held the 4th edition, which of course we rechristened it the Shiro's Cup. So we in Nigeria Tels and RSDF, we've done so much for the women's game. And for me, it is my own little way of saying the blessings that God has given to us, we should also be able to transmit that to these young girls who are doing so well globally. Okay, so far you've really spoken extensively concerning your team and also Nigerian football. But before we wrap it up, let's look at the Super Falcons. They'll be going to the World Cup. And from the way it is, we play about 8 matches now, although most of the matches are friendly, but there's like we used to say in Nigeria, the Saudi that will be fine from Friday, you will know. We are going to the World Cup. We managed to win just yesterday against Costa Rica. We've lost against Mexico, Canada, US, all of them. How do you see the squad right now ahead of the World Cup? Well, I am one who have contended that there is something that Waldron is doing that is not right. Look at our abysmal performance during the Aisha Buhari Cup. You look at also the abysmal performance with the last AFCON, the women's. AFCON, yes. Yes. We've not done so well. And to be on an international stage, most of the teams competing in Mexico today are the ones that the Super Falcons will eventually meet during the World Cup. And we have lost literally 7 matches on a stretch before winning 1 against a country like Costa Rica. It leaves a lot to be desired. I think that the technical crew are missing a point. And that point they are missing, they need to get it right. I would not subscribe to the idea that they should be relieved of their positions right now. They should still go back to the World Cup, but ensure that they go with a squad that can win, because it's a fierce tournament ahead of us.
Hopefully, Super Falcons will at least do well at the Mondial. We've been talking with Barrister Paul Edeh there, the president of Nigeria Tel's FCT team playing the NWFL. We want to appreciate your time for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for the privilege. And by the way, you have one of the best studios I've seen in recent times. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for this. Well, they are coming from Paul Edeh there, the barrister actually heading the team that is Nigeria Tells for you. I am Adeniyi Ajishafe. Sport is always business and fitness. Thanks for